Okay, so are you ready to dive into something kind of wild today?
Always up for a wild deep dive. What do we have?
It's all about the art of standing out. Like really grabbing attention. And not just a, hey, look at that, but the kind that gives you influence, the kind that makes people stop and listen.
It's a skill that's more valuable than ever. I mean, we're constantly bombarded with information these days. Everyone's vying for attention. Being overlooked is almost a guarantee if you don't know how to play the game.
Right. And that's where our friend Robert Greene comes in. He tackles this head on in the 48 Laws of Power.
Green. Always a fascinating, if sometimes brutal, guide to power dynamics. Which law are we looking at today?
Law 6, court attention at all costs.
Straight to the point. I like it.
Well,
But how does he suggest we go about this whole courting attention thing?
he uses some pretty colorful examples from history. Think outrageous figures like P.T. Barnum.
Burnham the showman, the
Yeah.
master of spectacle. What can we learn from a guy who's practically synonymous with the word hoax?
See, that's what I always thought too. But going deeper, the guy was brilliant, savvy. He really understood how to manipulate attention.
Manipulate might be a strong word, but yeah, he knew how to get people talking.
Exactly. For instance, did you know he was almost lynched once?
Oh yeah, the almost lynching incident? Classic Barnum.
Wait, seriously, I'm not familiar with that story.
So picture this. It's 1836, small town Maryland, and an angry mob is chasing Barnum through the streets, ready to string him up.
Whoa, hold on. Why? What did he do?
It all started with a rumor spread by Barnum's own business partner. Get this, the rumor was that Barnum was actually this disgraced Reverend Ephraim K. Avery.
Okay, and what had this Avery guy done?
Oh, just a small matter of allegedly murdering a young woman and then being acquitted. Big scandal at the time.
Whoa, dark. And Barnum's partner just decided to pin that on him.
Pretty much. It was a wild publicity stunt, even for Barnum's standards.
So Barnum is just strolling through town, minding his own business, and bam, public enemy number one.
Exactly. When the mob finally caught up with him, Barnum, being Barnum, managed to convince them to follow him back to the circus to prove his identity.
I bet that circus was packed that night.
Oh, you better believe it. Standing room only. Turns out it was all a giant publicity stunt orchestrated by his partner, who later said, all we need to ensure success is notoriety.
Wow. Talk about a lesson in bad publicity being, well, good publicity.
Right. And that experience, as you can imagine, had a profound impact on Barnum's approach. He really leaned into the power of attention, no matter how he could get it.
That's where the Brickman story comes in.
Ah, yes. The Brickman, one of Barnum's most head-scratching yet effective stunts.
Okay, so for those who don't know, what was the Brickman all about?
Imagine this. Barnum hires this guy, right, and all this guy does all day long is walk around laying down bricks, picking them back up, and laying them down again.
Wait, that's it? No juggling act on top or anything?
Nope. Just pure, unadulterated bricklaying. And the thing is, people couldn't resist stopping to stare. It made absolutely no sense. It was like a car wreck you couldn't look away from.
So simple,
Yeah.
yet so bizarre. Did it work?
Like a charm. People were so curious they actually paid to get into Barnum's museum, just
Right.
to keep an eye on the guy.
Incredible. It's like that impulse to rubberneck at an accident. You know you shouldn't, but you can't help but look. So how do we, normal people who aren't trying to draw crowds to a museum, how do we use this bricklaying principle in our own lives? I mean, I can't just start acting strangely at work, can I?
Well, maybe you can. No, you're right. It's not about being outrageous for the sake of it. It's about understanding the principle behind it. It's about differentiation.
So finding your own version of bricklaying.
Exactly. In a world full of noise, doing something unexpected can make all the difference. Imagine you walk into a meeting and instead of whipping out a PowerPoint presentation, you, I don't know, pull out a tuba and play a song summarizing your proposal.
Okay, while I appreciate the visual, I think I'd rather stick to PowerPoint.
The point is, it's about finding that thing that's unexpected yet relevant to your work. Something that makes you memorable.
Makes sense. So we've talked about spectacle, we've talked about being intentionally bizarre, but what about the power of mystery?
Ah, mystery. A powerful tool indeed. And for this, Greene points to the enigmatic Mata Hari.
Oh, Mata Hari, the exotic dancer who had all of Europe at her feet. Now, there's a woman who knew how to cultivate an aura of mystery.
And she used it to her advantage. People were drawn to her because they couldn't quite figure her out. Her backstory, which, by the way, turned out to be completely fabricated.
Wait, really? Fabricated how?
Oh, she claimed to be a Javanese princess trained in sacred dance rituals since childhood.
Wow. And it turns out,
It was all a big, elaborate lie. She was actually a Dutch woman who had reinvented herself, but her power lay in the unknown. People filled in the blanks with their imaginations.
that's wild. It's like the less she revealed, the more intriguing she became.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And that's a lesson we can all apply to our own lives.
Hold on. So are we saying everyone should just start making stuff up about themselves?
No, not at all. It's not about being dishonest. It's about understanding that you don't have to reveal everything about yourself all at once.
You're saying a little bit of mystery can go a long way.
Exactly.
So it's like hold back a little, be a little bit more like James Bond, intrigue them.
Exactly. Don't show all your cards at once. It's about being strategic with your information, not about being deceitful.
Okay, strategic withholding of information. I see that. Didn't Barnum use a similar tactic? Something about music? Or was it the lack of music?
Oh, you're thinking of the terrible band strategy.
The what now?
Yeah, so Barnum had this band, right? And they were, to put it mildly, terrible.
Okay.
But here's the thing. He'd have them play right outside his museum and advertise it as free music for the millions.
Wait, he was using bad music as a draw?
Think about it. People would be drawn in by the promise of free music, only to be met with this cacophony of sound.
So they'd pay to get into the museum just to escape the noise.
Exactly. He turned noise pollution into a marketing ploy. Once they were inside, relieved to be away from the terrible music, they were happy to spend money.
That's brilliant. Talk about turning a negative into a positive.
It just goes to show you any attention can be good attention, even if it starts out as a complaint.
Right. No such thing as bad publicity.
That's
As long as they're talking about you, right?
That's the idea. Whether they love you or hate you, the key is to be on their radar, to stand out from the crowd.
So how do we do that? How do we create that buzz?
Well, one way is to embrace what makes you different, even if it means going against the grain, like the Duc de Lauzun did in the court of Louis XIV.
The Duke do what now?
Lauzun, he was this, imagine a court obsessed with appearance, elegance, refinement. Now picture Lauzun, who was, by all accounts, almost dwarfish.
Okay, not exactly fitting in with the crowd. So how do you survive, let alone thrive in a place like that?
He was known for his audacity, his outrageous behavior, and, most importantly, his incredibly sharp wit. He used his differences to his advantage. He refused to be overlooked.
He sounds like quite the character. So he basically mocked his way to the top.
Not exactly mocked, but he definitely wasn't afraid to use humor to make his point, even if it meant poking fun at the most powerful people in the court, including the king.
That takes guts. I mean, one wrong joke and you're out of there, right?
And yet it worked. King Louis XIV actually found Lauzun's audacity refreshing. He appreciated his humor, even if it was a bit edgy.
So it's about finding that balance, being respectful, but also not being afraid to challenge the status quo.
Exactly. It's about strategic unconventionality.
Strategic unconventionality. I like that. But we're not saying everyone should go around being disrespectful or anything.
Exactly.
It's like knowing when to play the court jester and when to, just blend in with the tapestry.
Exactly. It's about being aware of the power dynamics in any situation and adapting your approach accordingly.
So how do we learn to walk that line? How do we know when to dial it up and when to maybe dial it back a bit?
Well, Greene uses the story of Lola Montez to illustrate this point. She was this, how shall I put it, force of nature in the mid-1800s. Famous or infamous for her beauty, her charisma, and, well, her ability to captivate powerful men.
Lola Montez. Didn't she become the mistress of King Ludwig of Bavaria?
The one and only.
So she definitely knew how to get noticed. What happened?
Well, she made a bit of a faux pas at a high society event in London.
Oh no, what did she do?
It seems she arrived late and made a, shall we say, grand entrance, attempting to outshine even the Queen.
Ooh, not a good move. Talk about a misstep.
It was a miscalculation on her part. The Queen and her court were not amused. They basically pretended Lola didn't exist.
Ouch. Talk about being iced out.
From that point on, Lola's social standing in London was, well, non-existent.
It's a good reminder that even the most skilled attention seekers have to be careful. There's a time and a place for everything.
Absolutely. Sometimes the smartest move is to step back, observe, and yes, let others have their moment in the sun.
It's like that saying, he who shines his light too brightly blinds people to his brilliance.
I like that. It's a delicate dance, this art of commanding attention.
It really is. So any final thoughts for our listeners today? What's the one key takeaway from all of this?
I'd say this. In a world overflowing with noise, standing out is more important than ever. But it's not about being the loudest or the most outrageous. It's about being deliberate, strategic, And most importantly, true to yourself.
Find your own bricklaying move. Figure out what makes you unique and use it to your advantage.
Exactly. Embrace your inner showman or showwoman, but do it authentically. That's the real key to lasting influence.
Love it. And on that note, we'll leave you to ponder your own bricklaying strategies. Until next time, remember, the world is your stage. Make it a show worth watching.